No man in the world. No man in the world.
The measure of any society is how it treats its women and girls. It's women and girls.
We create
the smart, powerful, creative, accomplished young women.
We can fight.
I'm here because of you. I'm here because girls like you inspire me. Many of these girls have faced unthinkable obstacles just to attend school. Any society is how it treats its women and girls.
Won't stand still.
Your story is my story. Your story is my story.
Buckle up, buttercups. It's another episode of Surly Voices here on WMNF Tampa 88.5. My name is Liz. I'm one of your hosts. Also, my co-hosts, Donna and Maria, are joining us on Zoom. How are you this morning, ladies?
I am well, and I have the introduction ready because last week somebody complained that we didn't have it together. So I am ready this morning.
Yes. We do take constructive criticism, and it helps us to improve our delivery.
Yeah, and also it was my fault that we didn't have it together, so I had to do it. So why don't we, before we get into the meat of this thing, why don't we start with the many things that we're going to cover?
Appetizers.
The appetizers. Liz, you want to start there or should I?
You go ahead and do it since you've written it all down.
Well, I have the main course.
Ooh.
I don't actually have the... So let's start with the minis. So Dump Duke is one. They have a 30-year opportunity to renew the contract that St. Pete, Pinellas County has with Duke Energy. And so today they're going to meet at the city council. Hopefully what they're hoping for, the person that's leading on this is Richie Floyd, the councilman. And he's hoping that they will get the approval for a feasibility study so that they can go ahead and get started on taking a look at what it would cost and what the process would entail to change Duke to a city-run utility. A lot of thoughts out there about that.
We had somebody call in a while back about that.
So let's just get right down into that. I think that's probably all we'll have time for with this, considering how much public interest there is in this topic. Today, we're talking about Epstein.
All things Epstein.
All things Epstein. Now, the Epstein scandal didn't just expose a sex trafficking ring. It exposed us. It tore the mask off a country that protects the powerful, buries the truth, and tells victims to be quiet and grateful. Mm-hmm. This wasn't one monster operating in the shadows. No, not just one guy. This was a network, hiding in plain sight. Celebrities, billionaires, politicians, princes, flying private, laughing, watching. And the question that haunts every decent person in the country is this: how many people knew? How many still know? And how deep does this rot go? This isn't about conspiracy. It's about complicity, about a justice system that looks the other way if you've got the right name, the right friends, or the right amount of money. And now, we're expected to move on. No names, no consequences, just another closed case while survivors are left holding the silence. So today, we're not sanitizing it. We're not softening the language. We're asking what this scandal says about the soul of a country that let it happen and what it will take to burn the whole damned cover up to the ground.
Absolutely.
All right? This conversation is overdue.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm really interested in hearing from Trump supporters who have become disenchanted with how this Epstein thing is being handled. We will be respectful as long as you are. And we do like to hear from both sides. And I'd also like to hear from people who are Trump supporters who think this is no big deal and why are we still talking about it? And of course, I want to talk about the Donna just walked in, so it distracted me. I'm not umming on purpose. We also want to talk to people who are outraged that they're shutting down the government a day early just so nobody gets to vote on whether to release the Epstein files.
They're slithering away.
Yes, slithering away is a good descriptor, no doubt. So if you want to join the conversation, give us a call, 813-239-9663, or you can email to dj@wmnf.org. Maria, what have you to say? You're down in the woods where all.
I'm at the Epstein epicenter.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, ground zero.
I mean, this is where it all happened. What I would encourage people to do is go into their archives and read the Miami Herald expose that was, I want to say, 10 years ago by Julia Brown. It was very detailed about what happened, who was there, the complicity of members of our local government, our local officials, our local elected officials who looked away and gave this guy a pass.
Right.
There was, he was allowed to spend his incarceration, if you will, in his Palm Beach mansion unsupervised.
Right.
Right. So I'll be honest, I've lived here for 30 years. Right. So I will say that it was an open secret. And the only person that spoke up and out against it at the time was the chief of police for the town of Palm Beach.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And that's what really broke it wide open. But I think now would be a good time, Liz, for you to
give this early disclaimer.
That's right.
The opinions expressed on Surly Voices are those of Surly Voices and not those of WMNF Tampa. Okay, please continue.
No, I mean, I think I'd leave it there for now. Let's just get into it.
Okay. So yeah, once upon a time, 20 years ago, rumblings started happening in Palm Beach, and that's when the police in Palm Beach started investigating Epstein because a 14-year-old girl, 14, reported that she was molested by him in his mansion where he later spent his incarceration. And then what he was doing, or what they were doing allegedly, is getting these young girls and then get that young girl to get more young girls. So it was just young girls in and out of the mansion all the time. And so it took until May of 2006 for the police to sign the paperwork to charge him. And so it's been an ongoing thing since then. He got literally a slap on the wrist. As Maria mentioned, he was on house arrest at night and did community service. And it's what? How do you have a trafficking ring with young girls and get community service? And so people have been asking questions about that ever since. And go ahead.
I'm going to just say this too. What's really wild about Palm Beach County, Palm Beach itself, is that I joke around a lot talking about the nonprofit industrial complex, but because everything is a charity. But the thing about it is that all like your social activities are around charity, nonprofits, right? And Mar-a-Lago was this place where people went for events, right? They would either that was a place where people went to, like the firemen's ball was there to raise money for the firemen, and the policeman's ball to raise money for the police. So all of these people like knew each other. All of these people interacted with each other. Mar-a-Lago was one of those places before he became president or anything like that. But Mar-a-Lago for a long time was one of these places where people went to socialize, right? Like, you know, it was just as frequented as the Breakers was for different charity events. So there was always activity, if you will, that where people were. And I remember reading about Virginia Giuffre that she got a job working at Mar-a-Lago in the spa. And that's where Ghislaine Maxwell found her.
Ah, okay. See, there are so many tendrils out there of it touched a lot of people, and people in power, people whose names we all know. And Trump is one of the main alleged conspirators with Epstein. And so it's gone on, and it keeps getting brushed aside. I mean, why weren't people screaming about this, you know, walk off pretty much 20 years ago? What was the outrage then, Maria?
I think it was a slow burn. It started off slow. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It started off slow. Started off in March of 2005, but I'm sure that long before that, there were rumblings in the community. Like, people always know what's going on. They're housekeepers, they're pilots, they're all these people who are in the ancillary staff who know what's happening. So in March 2005, in West Palm Beach, as Maria said, at the epicenter of this, a 14-year-old student, if you saw the documentary, you remember this, reports that Epstein paid her $300 for a massage at his Palm Beach mansion. Then the police launched a 13-month undercover probe involving multiple victims under the age of 18. Now, that kind of was just like in the ether. And then in July of 2006, about 19 years to the day, there were state charges in Florida. And this is where Maria called up the memory of the sheriff who was intent on getting this guy. He was talking to the families. He was talking to the girls. He knew some weird stuff was happening over there. So he was arrested by Palm Beach County on state charges. Now, remember, this is a billionaire being arrested by a guy, what amounts to a guy comparatively, right? They procured a minor for prostitution and soliciting prostitution. Those were the charges. He posted the bond and pled guilty because, of course, all the testimony and the girls and probably selfies, right? Pleads guilty to 2 felony counts. He received a very controversial 18-month sentence with work release privileges. I put work in air quotes so y'all can't see.
Right. Yeah, because what kind of work is he going to be
He was working all right, did the devil's work. And then in 2007 and 2008, he got the sweetheart deal plea. That's what they called it. The U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, because we're going to call these people's names. This is public record.
Yep.
He was a non-prosecution federal agreement. He negotiated a non-prosecution, non-prosecutory operative, right? Federal agreement that shielded Epstein and unnamed co-conspirators.
Ooh.
I'm just going to pause for effect there.
Ooh.
Victims are not informed of any of this. So
Right.
there was no opportunity for them to give statements, none of this, okay? A deal later was found to violate their rights, but double jeopardy can't prosecute them again. Okay, so now moving on, 2008, He pled guilty in June of the following year. Now, remember, he was on work release. So he's doing his skullduggery while he's out. 13 months in jail with work release privileges. Again, air quotes on work. Sparking widespread criticism over the perceived leniency. You're raping kids, and that's not perceived.
No.
Right? So, that was on Wikipedia, so whatever. 2005 to 2004, Epstein and Trump. Epstein and Donald Trump had a social friendship that started in the late 80s and in the early 2000s. You guys have all seen the pictures.
And they were friends for 15 or more years.
Yes. And they mingle at Mar-a-Lago and in Manhattan. And Trump said he was a terrific guy in 2002. They had a little falling out in 2004 because they were bidding competitively for the Maison de l'Amitié estate. Trump later reported, I butchered that. Trump later reported.
I was about to.
No, it's close. It was there was a guy who was a medical developer. Like, he built medical facilities, buildings, and he went bust right around, I want to say, was it 2008? It was before the financial meltdown.
Yeah, they had a 2004. That's when they were bidding competitively for this.
Right. And it was this Oceanside estate by this guy. This guy declared bankruptcy. And in fact, the estate was featured on Trump's game show, where the winner was to redesign that estate. It's just an obnoxious piece of property. I don't know that if it's still standing or not.
So now
I don't know about that.
In the aftermath of this is a kind of juicy. It's a little juicy because it's old. Trump reportedly bans Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. Get this, guys, for inappropriate behavior around a teenage girl. And we don't see, because the details matter, right?
Right.
And this is how it's culminated in this firestorm, because people all over the country have access to this information.
Right.
Okay. Now, we're going to go backwards. We're going backwards. 1993 to 1997, jet trips and birthday letters. Trump is logged flying around Epstein's private plane several times between 1993 and 1997. A 2003 unofficial birthday album included a suggestive drawing from Trump to Epstein.
In Sharpie.
Yes. Trump denied authorship and he sued. Of course, we know he will sue. He wins these lawsuits too. It's kind of wild. Now, roll forward. That was the earliest, 1993. We're talking about like 40 years ago. Okay. So this Epstein was arrested on July 6, 2019, 6 years ago, in a couple weeks, for federal sex trafficking involving minors in Florida and New York. You don't say. And he dies by, air quote, suicide in prison on August 10th, 2019. Now, in 24 and 25, there's renewed public scrutiny because they told us they were going to release the files. And that was a promise that the president made during his election.
And big shocker, he lied.
The court documents, the flight logs, and victim affidavits deepened the scrutiny of Epstein's high-profile connection. Now, May 2025, the problem was newly confirmed U.S. attorney, she said that Trump, she informed him and this meeting, and this is what we're arguing about today, that his name appears multiple times in unreleased Epstein files, though she and the DOJ say no further action is warranted. Okay, and so guys, you know what's happening now, right? Like the Congress is leaving early because they're slithering away. We started with that. They're trying to get out of this firestorm. Trump demanded that the Florida attorneys release the files. They say this is unconstitutional, illegal, actually, and that they cannot do it. This was a grand jury trial, and those are they are required to be sealed by law.
Right.
So there's no like moratorium when you get redacted files from the CIA about Area 54. That stuff is not legally able to be released to the public. So but she did declassify hundreds of heavily redacted pages this month, including flight logs and interview transcripts. The people who were waiting for it said it was an underwhelming first phase. It was peppered with Trump references, but there was no smoking gun.
Right. And you know that Epstein was keeping track of every single person that came into his little realm, because it's interesting how everybody knows whether they're in the list or not.
They know it. Yeah.
We got some early callers, so let's talk to them. You guys keep it clean, keep it biblical with your profanity, and we'll go from there. Let's talk to Michelle in Louisiana. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You want to go ahead?
You and the other girl sound alike, Liz.
Oh.
Y'all sound alike. Sometimes I think it's you talking, and I go, no, that's. Is it Donna?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, y'all sound alike.
We're buddies, so we pal around.
Well, I'll ask Donna.
Mm-hmm.
Donna, do you really honestly? I'm gonna ask you something. When you talk about sort of like how you don't understand, how can it all be happening and nobody says anything? People are facilitating these things, and it's all going under the radar. Nobody's saying anything. Do you really not know how that happens?
Money is how it happens, I think.
It's not just money.
What else is it?
It's power.
They're all in bed together. It's power, honey. They're all in bed together. They're all sleeping together. And when I say that, it's a metaphor. It's not they're in bed together. And as soon as one person gets involved or helps out, way back in the 90s or whenever, you're on the hook. Now.
Right.
And these people are weak. You have to remember, these are weak, sick people.
Okay.
And I was married to a federal agent for over 20 years. And I'm going to tell you, Donna, there's so much that the American public are not told about or lied to about, and it will continue. The general public has no idea what's really, really going on in the government because they can't tell everybody that.
You know,
I'm just saying, I think that the way he was able to do it for all these years, and Trump's right there with him.
Right.
He knows it.
So let me ask you this, Michelle. In Louisiana, the hotbed of MAGA superiority,
Yes.
are they talking about this amongst themselves?
Of course not.
Oh, okay.
They
So,
don't care.
yeah.
They're morons.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling.
Y'all have a good day.
You too.
You too. Now, you know, earlier when I did the intro and I was talking about power and privilege, like I think I stated very clearly that this was about a combination of those things. And this isn't just something that's parked right here at Epstein. We can go back to Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, all of these people. Alec Baldwin shot someone on set. He's never going to face the charges for that. We've got... but we did get some victories coming out of the Me Too era on R. Kelly and Harvey Weinstein. And Epstein was arrested, but there was never any intention. There was never any intention to actually see that thing all the way through.
Right.
Which is why the cameras went out for about a minute and a half, and he was found dead.
Yeah.
Now, his immense wealth did allow him to exploit the vulnerabilities of victims. Think about it, the law enforcement, the justice system, and he surrounded himself with high-priced attorneys. Okay, and he intimidated, he negotiated, he manipulated, and then he employed investigators to go and silence, discredit, and pressure the victims. This is a typical line of behavior, an approach when wealthy people. As a matter of fact, Diddy couldn't get out of jail on his bail because the judge was completely convinced that he would go and try to manipulate witnesses. He even started it from jail.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so now,
even regular folks can intimidate folks from jail.
and Michelle is right, because Epstein he wasn't just filthy rich, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had offshore accounts. We don't even know how much money this man had.
Right.
And offshore accounts automatically, when someone has that much wealth, like hedge fund level wealth, speaks to money laundering practices. Now, so he had collected influential relationships. And when I say collected, I'm talking about the pictures, the flight logs. He had all of the information to pressure those people into silence, right? Even in the media and academia.
Right.
And that's what offered him a wall of protection. It wasn't literally like the wall around his island. It was literally a wall, an invisible wall of protection, influence, power, money, wealth, relationships.
Let's talk to Gary in Largo. Hi, Gary.
Hey, first of all, congratulations for demonstrating the real-world value of WMNF by raising $280,000 in one day.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
We are so grateful to all our supporters. I can't, yeah.
When Trump wants to get rid of public broadcasting, he thinks that progressives and liberals can't afford to support it without
Psych.
Now, I have what I would call a meta take on Trump Epstein.
I love
First
it.
of all, forget the Epstein affair. Trump publicly on tape confessed to being a serial sexual predator.
He did, Gary.
So did that make a difference to all who voted for him? No.
No.
Number two, he repeatedly confessed on Howard Stern and elsewhere that he wanted to hump his own daughter. He made it explicit, and there's photos of her when she was a teen
Sitting on his lap.
There are many photos of her sitting on his
really
lap.
And he made a vow to her that he would never date anyone younger than her.
Really sick, right. And so, look, I am an old white guy, so I can talk to MAGAs like a chameleon and find out what they really are.
Spill the tea.
There are a few MAGAs that seriously care about immigration or whatever. But essentially, as a cult, it's not just that they don't care that Donald Trump is a serial sexual predator and an adjudicated rapist, at the very least, forgetting the Epstein pedophilia and sex trafficking. They don't just not care. They admire him. I don't think that MAGAs would open up to any of you because you're female and you're people of color, perhaps. But I'm going to tell you right now, they open up to me. Even MAGA women have said to me that not only was it not disqualifying that he would grab their daughter's private parts, but they would welcome it. They would feel honored by it, and they would hope that their daughter could get a lot of money out of it like Melania did.
Oh, my God.
No, look, MAGAs are a sick group of people. They admire fraudsters. They admire Tony Sopranos. They admire the guy on Breaking Bad. They sympathize with villains, black hats, gangsters. These are sick people, and they were the majority of voters. We are surrounded, I won't use the word morons, I'd say we are surrounded by immoral, unethical people who value pleasure, power, and weirdness more than anything else. And that's what scares me about this country. I have friends in Germany who have had living relatives describe how Hitler was allowed to become Hitler. And it was because too many Germans fell in love with the idea of a crazy madman who told them that they were superior to everyone else and therefore should kill everyone else. America is in deep trouble, and it goes way beyond the Epstein scandal.
It does.
Thanks so much for calling, Gary.
I feel like this scandal I mean, I don't really like to talk about it. I think that just like Gary was talking about, the angle that he gets as a white man and the way people talk to him about what's in their hearts, as a black woman, I never expected Epstein to face justice. I don't expect that Ghislaine Maxwell. She's not even talking. Like, she knows everything. She knows where all the bodies are buried. She knows if there are tapes, somewhere in a bunker in Montserrat. She knows. And Epstein kept the score so that he could keep everyone silent and they couldn't turn him in. And everybody knew that when he went to jail.
Right.
There was never any, from my perspective, you guys call and tell me if I'm wrong. From my perspective, there was never going to be a complete unveiling of all of these people. Now, I have another question. Like, here's a little bit of a meta take. What is the obsession with wealthy, powerful people and Bohemian Grove weirdness and ritualistic stuff? Like, why is that always like the culmination of extreme power and wealth?
Right.
Is that you have to put on a robe and do some weird stuff in the forest? Why?
You got me. I mean, but if you think about it, they are doing all these horrible things and yet trying to pretend that they're, holier than thou.
Well, let's go over
quite literally.
Let's go over the murder versus suicide. I want to go in a straight line here because I did a lot of research and I want to share it. Okay. So his death was ruled as a suicide. We're going to take, for those of you who are just jumping in here, we're going to take the conspiracies and we're going to go through them one by one. Now, the thing about conspiracies is there's always some juice of truth in there.
Right.
And sometimes when you're dealing with wealthy and powerful people, it's the truth staring you in the face called a conspiracy so that everybody who talks about it is deemed to be a wingnut.
Right.
But here we are.
And this is not some kind of made-up conspiracy like Democrats having pedophilia rings in pizza places in D.C.
This is not the whole hot dog pizza thing. Listen to this, guys. Number one, his death was ruled a suicide, but the skeptics argue that the cameras malfunctioned conveniently at the time of death and for a couple of minutes.
Right.
And he had broken bones. These are not conspiracies. These are facts. He had broken bones in his neck, right? So very inconsistent with a suicide that would take place in a jail cell, which is usually by asphyxiation when someone applies their own ligature, right? Now, the cameras malfunctioned. The guards falsified the logs. No need to cover up things if nothing happened. He had the multiple broken neck bones, and he allegedly, don't want to get sued, allegedly possessed compromising information on powerful figures who stood to benefit from his silence.
Well, yeah, duh.
Number two, powerful connections and blackmail operation. He recorded interactions between victims and powerful figures. Why? Allegations of hidden surveillance systems in his properties. Okay? There's a lot of data out there, y'all. Epstein's mysterious wealth was linked to extortion payments, right? So he was getting tons of money from people who, pay him what he wants or lose everything.
Right.
Now, there is also speculation that the government and intelligence agency involvement. Now, these are not our ideas. We're just talking about what's out there. Okay? They claim that he might have acted as an informant or an asset, explaining his lenient treatment in 2008. Okay? And then there was some possibility that CIA or Mossad speculated due to Epstein's close relationships with powerful, influential figures and his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, through her father, Robert Maxwell.
Media mogul.
Yes. Right? So now, and there's more. I don't want to keep going, but you guys understand that these theories, they gained credibility because of all the unresolved questions, the anomalies in the documentation around this before Epstein went to jail and while he was in jail and even up to his death, and the documented network of influential connections. And so the initial question that I asked during the intro was, what does this mean? I think that's important. I do not believe that there will ever be justice for all of the victims, right? We saw what happened to Virginia Jeffrey, okay? There was her father had doubts about how she departed from this realm, okay? She wrote a letter that says, you guys keep fighting, and talked about she wanted people to get her. And her father was like, wait a minute. Now, the thing about mental health is that we don't know what someone is grappling with. And we also know that it's difficult for families to accept that someone, self-deleted. So I will take what her father said with a grain of salt. But in the context of all of the smoke around this, I just don't know. But I do know this, and I'll stop. I do know that this happening right now and how the House of Representatives and governmental entities have come to a screeching halt around this. Marjorie Taylor Greene threatening Donald Trump, telling him that little pieces of red meat are no longer going to work. What does that even mean, Liz?
Little pieces of red meat is like,
So for 10 years.
breadcrumbing, like giving little selective information just to try to appease people.
Child. What in the... America the Beautiful going on here.
Maria, did you have something to say?
No, I was just going to piggyback off of what you said. It's like for 10 years, they've been like dangling this like red meat, carrot, or whatever to their QAnon base of like conspiracy theories. And now that, they are the ones that put you in the White House and they are the ones that like they want the whole state dinner, as she said.
Exactly.
Like crumbs are no longer going to suffice. We did all of this stuff to get to this point, right? And now we want what we have been fed for over the last 10 years. We want that.
But isn't it symbolic of everything else we're dealing with, right? The lies, the obfuscation, the pivoting, when asked a direct question, why would you care that the children of immigrants why would you try to revoke citizenship from them? Like, I have more questions in all of this than I have answers. And I feel like the Epstein case is just like a magnifier. It's an amplifier of all of the weird things that this administration, people can say it's because they're mean. I mean, but think about it. One of the hallmarks of wealthy people, they don't get involved in stuff they don't have to. They get involved in things because they make the money. They get involved in things because they're entertained by them. What is the point of going after babies?
Let's put a pin in that. Talk to our callers here, and then we'll come back. Jack in Dover. Hi, Jack.
Hi, good morning, ladies.
Hi.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
The things that I've been thinking about while listening to the two of you are, one, Donald Trump, when he took the Bible and he went to have a photo op. I think that was when
when he had the protesters outside the church and
Bible upside down.
Right.
Right.
That's satanic.
So, and then I tried to Google to see, if Mr. Epstein, I know he went to Dalton University, but I was wondering, is there any information about what church he may or may not have gone to?
Well, let's check into that.
So I think he was Jewish. He actually taught at the Dalton School,
Prep,
which is a very elite private school in Manhattan. The headmaster of that school happened to be the father of the former Attorney General Bill Barr. When Donald Trump was president 45. So Bill Barr is the son of the headmaster from the Dalton School, right?
Okay.
And he was supposedly there at the Dalton School to teach math. That is where this whole thing started, allegedly. One of the people that he met was the CEO of Victoria's Secret while he was there, and then a few other like high net worth individuals, because the Dalton School is where they send their kids, right? And I think that for the same reason why he was arrested eventually is the reason why he was removed from the Dalton School.
Okay.
And then he went on to teach at Harvard in the math department, and no one could figure out what he did there.
Oh, guess who else is at Harvard? Alan Dershowitz.
Exactly.
It's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And
so-
sometimes it's about both.
You know, I feel like we're teasing it, but I don't really feel like we're getting to the core. Can we talk to some of our callers and see if they have any type
Sure.
of meta-analysis for us?
Thanks for calling, Jack.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye. All right, Ray in Lakeland. Hi, Ray.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm making it. You know, I've been waiting for this conversation, and real quick, it's about disappointment. It's about not being able to have heroes, because you know, people said that the president was a fascist and all kinds of things, and then stood next to him when he was sworn in. You know, and so
Good point.
you got to ask yourself, who is on your side? And you know, I've said it before. I've said it 1,000 times. You know, look to people around you and ask that question. And you know, most of us don't live in fear of the people around us. You know, but nothing's getting done. I think there was a story about Weinstein. He has to be retried because some of the testimony should not have been allowed, or something of that nature. And you're telling me that a victim of assault, any kind of assault, shouldn't be able to add context based on their trauma? That's
Right.
insane.
Okay.
So the system really is not us. You know, collectively worrying. It helps us get through the day, but it's not changing things that we have to accept.
Okay.
And I have to wake up with a teenage daughter and accept that grown men are going to look at her, but most of them aren't going to try to touch her. Or I have to accept that there are some bad people out there, and I have to teach her without causing her to live in fear of the world around her, you know? And it's like, as we accept the bad boss at work or the bad manager who's not our manager, but we've heard stories about him, we have to just, we just have to kind of, you know, accept what the world is.
Got it.
I think, first of all,
Yeah.
shock is just, it's not helpful at all.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And I
Thank you so much.
Gotta
We
let
gotta-
you
we gotta
go,
let
Ray.
you go.
We got
Okay.
people in the
Okay,
queue.
yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thank you, Ray.
Bye-bye.
We've got one more caller. I want to take him. I need you, Steve. I need you to give me 30 seconds because we don't want to take calls in the last 15 minutes. But we got you. We've been waiting. You've been waiting.
All right. Steve in St. Petersburg.
I'll try to say this as quick as I can. All right.
Good.
The beginning of the end of the U.S. started with the coup d'etat against the Kennedy administration. Now, if you read the book, Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, we are in the decline of the U.S. empire. You'd have to go back to Jimmy Carter, where we had an honest president. Every president since then should be in a federal penitentiary. Obviously, George H. Bush and Ronald Reagan are dead. Of the corruption and what happens in an empire, if you study the Roman Empire, the decline comes within the government. They spent too much money on the military, and they deny infrastructure repair and health care. And so that's what's going on. And see, the U.S., it doesn't matter if it's Trump, Joe Biden, or whoever, is the cause of it's showing that we're in the decline of the American empire. And we're almost $40 trillion in debt, and there's no relief in sight.
Wrap it up
These
for
are
me.
the signs. These are the signs of a declining empire. So it doesn't matter who you vote for anymore. But you'd have to go back to Carter.
Got it.
Where we had an
we got to cut you off right
All right.
there.
Thanks for calling, Steve.
Thank you, Steve. Well, you know, I want to say this to the caller before. It wasn't Jack, but the guy after that. What Jeffrey, he was hinting at and pointing to what Jeffrey Epstein really means for Americans, and it's this. He's the clearest, most grotesque symbol of how unchecked privilege erodes justice, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And how systems are and continue to be built to protect the powerful and they will betray the vulnerable every time they're allowed to. He didn't just abuse girls. He exposed the fragility of accountability. We've been talking about accountability since the BLM era, since the Me Too era.
Right.
This guy's crimes were known. His victims spoke out. And the legal system, the media, the politicians, the power brokers, all looked the other way, or they enabled him. Mm-hmm. He weaponized wealth, influence, and connections, and in doing so, he revealed for us a hard truth. In this country, who you are still matters more than what you've done, right?
Well,
and I know that because of how I work in my career. I do everything I say I can do. But people don't want that service. They want people who will fumble the ball so they can continue to kick the can of funding down the road. They do not want to work themselves out of a job as organizers. That's my personal commentary. But for Americans, this should be a wake-up call. Because if justice is negotiable, if it bends for billionaires and breaks for survivors, then what we're living in is not a democracy. You know, Chris had just said that to me. I've said this to you guys before. There are no longer any democratic institutions in America. It's a two-tiered system wearing a mask, a COVID mask. Epstein is a warning for us, okay? I want to make sure that you guys understand we are not just twiddling our thumbs here and navel-gazing. Epstein is a warning. Not just about the individual evil that he did, but about collective complicity. We can all create our own hell. So it just means we have work to do, not just to punish people like Diddy or R. Kelly, but to dismantle the protections that let them thrive.
Right. Because this is hardly the first time something like this has happened.
And it will continue to happen. And Diddy's walking away. He's going to get a slap on the wrist. And he's going to have his own. He has an island. Right. So he'll just take his show offshore.
So how does Diddy not get accountable, but R. Kelly does?
R. Kelly didn't have the money that Diddy had in his coffers to hire those lawyers that Diddy hired the lawyers that get you off when you stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone in the face.
He probably didn't have the network either.
Right.
Like, Diddy aligned himself with powerful people who showed him where to put the cameras.
He did.
Right? Like, he's really no different than Epstein.
He isn't.
Right.
Yeah. He was on the level.
They knew where to put the cameras. They knew what to do. He got caught.
Yeah.
You know? He got caught because, like, you know, he assaulted that young woman in the near the elevator of a hotel.
Oh my God, that was horrible.
Right. He didn't expect other people to have cameras too.
It ain't no fun when the rabbit also has a gun.
Right.
You're in the mirror, you know, you're staring at each other. So, you know, I just want to thank you guys for going through that with us this week. Hopefully you got something out of this. We weren't just reviewing conspiracy theories. We're thinking about this in the context of the zeitgeist of these times, you know, American justice, the expose of the fragility of accountability in this country. We hope that you are thinking about who you vote for in the context of this. And it does matter that we have leaders with integrity and not just force. And remember, we had this conversation last week, and the guy says, I said, power versus force, right? This book that was written by Dr. Hawkins. And this guy was like, I don't think that's the best word. What would you call what Epstein did? He forced people.
Yeah.
What would you call what R. Kelly did? He forced those girls. He brainwashed them. Jeff Warren. You know, you brainwash people. That's not power. Brainwashing is not power. You mesmerize, hypnotize, lie, obfuscate, incarcerate people, and they think they're free. That's what these guys were doing. Those girls at the time were buying Chloe purses and they thought they had it going on. And then when they failed to launch as adult women, they said, someone wounded me. This is deep. So I thank you for taking this journey with us today. We're going to continue to cover this. We're also going to continue to cover the development of Dump Duke and the negotiations of that contract. I have been following this and covering this since they started organizing around it. There are many questions out there. The question of corporate power versus the actual ability of governmental entities to maintain something that large. That's the tension here, and we're going to continue to look at it. It's actually the same story, right? Mm-hmm. What is the question? What do Americans want, and what are we willing to do? Are we willing to make our government work so that it can actually govern? Are we willing to hold people accountable for their actions? These are the questions. This is the tension.
I don't think that the MAGAs want any of those things. All they want is...
They're in a cult.
Yeah.
They're in a cult. So when you're in a cult, you don't know what you want.
Right.
How can you?
Because the leader has to tell you what you want.
Right. They erase your programming. Your operating system is erased and reinstalled with something that serves the will of your master.
Right.
That's kind of the relationship that Americans are in. If you listen to Shahid Bolton, he's saying that the United States hegemon is being leveled to make way for a global economy that has just a handful of people managing it. Right? You guys should go take a look at that. I mean, so the folks of you that called in and gave these meta-analyses, go and take a look at Shahid Bolton and what he's saying. Now, there are people who say he's a shill for the Saudis. I don't know that. I just listened to what he's saying. Sounds a lot like what Chris Hedges is saying. Sounds a lot like some of the things like Dr. West have told us, right? People who have credibility in our society, and they're saying, you guys, you need to look behind the veil.
Right.
You're not getting the full story of what's going on here. There's no reason to deliberately dismantle an economy.
Right.
There's a reason to make the economy nicer. There's a reason to play nicer in the global economic sandbox, but there's no reason to dismantle America.
No.
And we are really in the throes of dismantling our economy, like willfully dismantling it.
And people don't know what's happening to them.
Right. Well, and then, too, they sit around. I mean, they don't see the immediate effects of when the powers that be make decisions. It comes along slowly. It's frog boiling in the water, you know? It's like you start the stove low and then the frog doesn't notice he's getting boiled to death.
Next week, I'm going to treat you guys to, my co-hosts don't know this, but I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to treat you guys to a timeline of Pamela Bondi's rise.
Yes. Because she's all up in the Epstein stuff.
And why is she like this? Like, what is her story? We're going to walk you through that, her relationship with Donald Trump. And we're going to continue to cover the people around him, his henchmen, his lieutenants. Hopefully it gives color to this regime and helps you guys understand it better, since the WMNF ain't going nowhere, as evidenced by the Herculean feat of raising $280,000. The goal was $230,000.
Yep.
Zoomed past that. We've got good leadership here. We've got a great board at Nathan B. Stubblefield. We're going to keep bringing you these stories. We will not be silenced.
Amen. And there's people in Tampa who know Pamela Bondi pretty well, so maybe we'll get some inside dish.
Well, I'm going to tell you how she tried to get me. She tried to get us, sister.
So, and the Duke, Dump Duke campaign is ongoing. If you Google Dump Duke, you'll find the places you need to look at. Not that I'm encouraging you to, because I do not want to incite a call for action, but there's plenty out there in the internet world about Dump Duke.
Yeah, you guys do your due diligence all the way around on this, okay? So that when you enter the conversation, any conversation. Here's a call to action for you. Think more. Think more.
Critical thinking.
Read more. Do not accept something because The Atlantic wrote it or Mother Jones said it. We respect a lot of these rags, right? But it doesn't mean they've got it right. Sometimes there are people behind these places. You guys have to be able to take in a wide array of information and then discern, right? Look for the consistencies and the inconsistencies. And also who runs these establishments. You got Jeff Bezos, an oligarch who's behind the Washington Post. Be careful with that.
All right. So Frank just gave us the finger. And yeah, do your back. Don't just believe memes. I mean, I love memes. I love memes. I talk about them all the time. But I saw one last night a friend of ours had posted, and it's a lawyer who got the sweetheart deal for Epstein found dead. And I saw the picture of him, and I'm like, that looks like Roy Black.
Yeah, people so nosy. Who's at 461 listeners right now? Y'all so knows he.
But so I went and I looked and I'm like, is Roy Black dead? And it's like, yeah, he was 80 and he was sick. And so I went back and posted that. I'm like, okay, let's not buy into the conspiracy.
And I'm going to post all of the Nazi uniforms that Melania had in her trousseau for Trump's new marriage to the U.S. And you guys are going to be blown.
So let's go and we'll see